Did the Packers call Aaron Rodgers? Did they give him a heads up? And if so, who was that person? Did they connect last night?
I don't know if they did or not. It sounds like they didn't.
Really?
I forget where I read it. I read it somewhere that they didn't call him, but I don't know that, so I can't say.
Right.
But either way, man, I don't know. I saw Jordan Love to the Packers in a couple of mock drafts, and I don't know, Rich. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Now, I say it doesn't make a lot of sense, and on the other side of the coin, I say I congratulate people who look at football as a continuum, which is what it should. You know, Brian Gutekunst certainly has got a job to look at the Packers of 2028, not just 2020 and 2021. So I don't knee-jerk hate this, but the reason that I think this is a little bit different than the Favre thing is that, you know, Mike McCarthy, Ted Thompson, you know, basically what was happening in Green Bay, and not McCarthy yet, okay? But Ted Thompson certainly and the Packers, they were wondering how much longer Brett Favre was going to play. He didn't want to come to minicamp anymore. They just didn't know how much longer, you know, and he was really starting to think at the end of every year, do I want to keep playing? So you look at that, and then you compare that to Rodgers. And Rodgers, it seems to me, he wants to play at least 40, right? I mean, he's told me that. And as long as he told me, as long as my legs stay, as long as I can use my legs and all that, I'd like to play until I'm 40. And so, you know, this means that he probably wouldn't play at least 40 in Green Bay, because think about how this works, Rich. You know, he's 36 years old now, and Jordan Love has got basically a 5-year window in Green Bay. But in order to exercise that 5th year, don't you have to see something in at least the first 3 years?
Of course.
Because you've got to exercise the 5th-year option after the 3rd year.
Well, the difference too, Peter, is between this and Favre is the last time that Rodgers had a first-round selection used by the Packers for his side of the ball, Rodgers was a 20-year-old, was in his 20s, and at least, you know, with Favre, Rodgers dropped into their lap. They traded up to go get him. They traded up to go get him from one slot above where the Niners eventually traded up to get the receiver for their quarterback to make sure that the 6 minutes that they were shy of winning it all could be bridged in the same way that Green Bay was a game shy of it.
I'm going to give you my one other thing that, you know, look, I have not talked to Aaron Rodgers. In the off season, I don't have the kind of relationship with him that I'd call him anyway. But to wonder what his attitude must be today, all you have to do is look at the draft record of the Green Bay Packers in the last 5 years. Okay, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay, the Green Bay Packers took one receiver in the top 130 picks of any of those drafts. And that was Ty Montgomery with the 94th pick in 2015. He was a receiver for 1 year, and then they moved him to running back. So I don't count that as a receiver. Sorry. I mean, you know, so essentially for the last 5 years, since Aaron Rodgers was 30 or 31 years old, they have not taken a really good college wide receiver in the draft. You know, they basically they were like Bill Belichick in New England last year.
Right.
Hey, Tom, you and Josh, you go figure it out. You do it all the time. So here's Edelman, and here's a bunch of guys who we got off the scrap heap. You figure it out, and you take us deep into January because you always do. Well, there's a bridge too far. And in my opinion, if you're Aaron Rodgers, last night you see that this is the best crop of receivers maybe ever. and you look and you say, man, we're going to get one or two of these guys. And instead, you get the guy who's going to take his place in a couple of years. So that's why if you're Aaron Rodgers, you got to be steaming today. Especially
since, again, the team that he couldn't get past last year was the one that was aggressive to go up and get Brandon Ayuk. And the Packers were aggressive to go get his successor. That said, it is deep enough where you can get, I mean, Daniel Jeremiah said you can get some quality receiving starters.
They could get a very good receiver at 62.
Fourth, fifth round too. So I guess we do need to wait for the entire draft to be complete before we can hit on that subject. And of course, again, if Jordan Love is the next Rodgers, then we can revisit this issue on that front later on. I mean, Peter King here on the Rich Eisen Show. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.